Caribbean vibrations, Caribbean vibrations, Caribbean vibrations.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Karen, and tonight I'm at the Toronto Jazz Festival 2013. I'm here with musician, composer, arranger, Brownman. How was the show? You just played to a packed house. How'd it go?
It was really fun. First set, second set to come, but it was good, yeah. So tonight we're doing a Freddie Hubbard tribute, and one of the great jazz trumpet players of the 60s, one of my heroes. I think one of every trumpet player's hero. And so we're breaking it up into two sets, the first set being an acoustic set, the second set being an electric set, so we're going to get funky. Funky. Born in Trinidad, that's a real Trinidadian accent. It's actually, I fake. I have to like stand in front of a mirror and work on it. It's terrible. But I'm from Trinidad. I'm from San Fernando, from South and Ting. And I was born in Trinidad. I went to school in New York. Came up in Brooklyn. Went to Manhattan School of Music. Studied privately for almost 15 years with a legendary trumpet player named Randy Brecker. And he pretty much built me. The American media actually often calls me Brecker North, which I'm really honored by him. He's a monster. 14 Grammys he's won. 1 4. And so that was my greatest influence. And then I came to Canada in '97, and now I'm part of the scene, and it's really fun. A lot of doors have opened in the last couple of years. I spent, from 2006 to 2010, I was the trumpet player for Guru's Jazzmatazz, Guru of Gangstar fame, one of the greatest rappers in the history of golden era hip hop.
I co-sign that, most definitely.
Yeah, man, it takes a long time to get used to playing with Guru. Like, I grew up listening to Guru. Like, I have all the Gangstar records, you know what I'm saying? I have all the Jazzmatazz records. So when I got called to replace Donald Byrd and be on Jazzmatazz Volume 4, I thought it was my boys crank calling me. Yo, Guru don't even sound like that, man. That's not funny. And so 4 years, did 4 world tours with him, 2010. And then since then, that opened a lot of doors for me in the New York session scene. So I worked a little bit with Paul Simon and Quincy Jones. I recorded with Quincy Jones recently. That was crazy. And Mos Def, a lot of the New York hip hop guys, Chee-A-Kwai, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, that whole ilk of hip hop stirs. Like, a lot of the dudes are using improvising jazz musicians. So I'm starting to get calls from those kind of cats. You know who I really want to work with is The Roots. I'm dying to work with The Roots, yeah. And DJ Premier just called me recently, right? The other half of Gangstar, and he's going to put a good word in for me with Quest. So we'll see. It might be I'm hoping. I don't want to, jinx nothing, but
I'm gonna cross my fingers on that for you.
And toes. Yeah, cross everything, girl. So
That's mostly, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you is I know that you work with Guru and some of the legends in hip hop. I'm thinking about hip hop music today. What do you think about the new cats that are out there and their affiliation with jazz?
Oh, well, it's fun. Like, I don't dig the commercial stuff. I think Lil Wayne is terrible. I think that the ethic of hip hop is lost. The ideology behind hip hop was protest music, man. It was Black America speaking out against the oppression that they felt, right? And they used hip hop as a means of speaking to that thing, right? And the 3 biggest names of that era were Public Enemy with Chuck D, and Boogie Down Productions with KRS-One. You got it. So those 3 really spoke to that ideology, conceptualization based on speaking about the environment. And since then, I feel it's really been a whole other kind of art form that's about entertainment, and it's about helicopters, and it's about booty girls, and I'm not a huge fan of that, but the underground is still banging. Look at Black Thought, look at Mos Def, look at Talib Kweli, look at Common, look at M1. There are people doing it, but they don't have the kind of mainstream exposure that in the day cats like Gangstar had. Like, Gangstar was mainstream, right? And so was Public Enemy, and And the other thing too is like the record industry's changed now, right? So it's a different paradigm that we're dealing with. So independent artists have more power, but it's a lot harder to reach as many people. So I like it and I don't like it. It's a fun. I mean, we're at the bottom of a cycle, right? Because with the demise of the record labels, we're down here. We're trying to figure out how do we make money, and how to make money out of digital downloading, and how do artists survive when people aren't buying records. And so once that works itself out, I'm very interested to see. I mean, not just as a jazz musician, but as a modern day artist, you know, how we're going to emerge from that. So in the meantime, we just got to keep slugging and, you know, and hoping that people come out. Like, I feel very honored that there was a packed house tonight, you know. And this is one of 13 gigs for me, man. This is day one. I'm playing 13 times for the Jazz Festival, which is nutty. I need to eat my Wheaties, vitamins.
And you do the Jazz Festival every year, is that right?
Yeah, and no matter where I'm torn and where in the world I am, I take it off to come back. Because it's hometown, man. It's hometown community. So, yeah, no matter what's going on in my world, I make sure I'm busy during Toronto Jazz Fest. T.O.'s the New York of Canada, man. I adore the city and I adore the festival, so I love being here.
And they adore you, as we said, packed house. Now, you mentioned that, you know, you're born in Trinidad. Trinidad's known for their soca, calypso, widely known for that. Yeah. How did Trinity Boy go the jazz route? Oh,
well, because I left young, because I was just a child when I left. I was literally, like, I was like 4 years old when we split. So my Trinidadian parents, as much Sparrow and Calypso Rose, and I'm trying to remember David Rada, as much of that as was in the house, there was an equal amount of Duke Ellington and Count Basie and Stan Kenton and the big bands, and a lot. My mother loves female singers, so Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, she loves Sarah, and Shirley Horn, etc. So I grew up with that sound, and apparently there's like a funny story. Apparently that when I was a fussy young child, the only thing that would make me sleep was Miles Davis. Put on Kind of Blue, and it would knock me out. So something about the sound of the horn from little, I think so, yeah. I don't have a memory of that, which is interesting. But apparently it was, you know, messing with my genetics very young. So as soon as I was old enough to play horn, I got my hands on one. And I was maybe 8. Hey, you know what's interesting? A kid I taught when he was 8 is here tonight. And he's all grown up now. He's 24 now. And
was that the one that you brought up front? Did you bring him up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that kid is, and he's now like a handsome young man, and when he was 8 years old with these little Harry Potter glasses, and the horn was like too heavy, and now he's like a banging trumpet player, and he's part of the scene, and yeah, Stu. For me, that's like, as an evolving artist, to see the next generation that you've influenced coming through is really, really gratifying, like really gratifying. Randy Brecker says that about me, actually, because when he was interviewed, there's a very famous interview on, you can find it on YouTube, where we're talking about each other, and Randy's hilarious. Randy's like, he contacted me via the internet, and I almost didn't write back because the emails were so crazy, and he, because I was really like, Randy, I love you. You're my hero. I'm going to come to New York and study with you. And it was pretty over the top. And,
a lot of people think of jazz musicians as very subdued, conservative, even. What do you have to say to that?
That's ridiculous. I mean, that's part of it, I guess. But look, I come out of Miles Davis and Freddie Hubbard and Woody Shaw and Clifford Brown and Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker, and that lineage those cats, they were playing like they were going to die tomorrow, man. And that's the attitude that we are trying to propagate in how we play. Like, there's an urgency in how we play, and a lot of that comes from New York too, because all four of us have studied in New York City, and there's something about the pulse and energy of that city that, if it's embodied, if you can play with the embodiment of that, there's a real urgency about how you execute. And so I tend to, I love ballads, don't get me wrong, and I love tone. Like, we played a really beautiful ballad tonight, and I love being in that place, but I feel like the pendulum has swung too far to the other side, where Diana Krall is now considered a jazz touchstone, and I think that's a little messed up. If you look in New York City, a lot of guys you won't even know names of that are burning, like absolutely burning. Alex Sipiagin and Kung Fu and Jim Rotundi, and like, I'm sure you don't know any of these people, but they're just playing like they're going to drop dead tomorrow. And there's something really beautiful about the irreverence of that kind of playing, I think, anyway. And that's my ethic, that's my ethos when I play. And I'm not trying to push it on anybody. I'm just saying that's how I play, and I try and find the cats that support that. And my whole little cabal of players, they all speak to that, and they all play like that.
So you mentioned that you also mentored a student that's there now. What would you say to kids now that, you know, are into the popular culture and maybe just, you know, something that would encourage them to maybe go against the grain and get into jazz and experience something a little different?
As musicians, you know what, man? I really feel like the best thing you can say to a kid is to check out as much as you can. I think the schools are doing a disservice to children when they put parameters on, because you know what happens is a lot of kids go to school and they're told, oh, you listen to Skrillex? That's crap. Don't listen to that. That's bad music. You listen to heavy metal? That's garbage. You shouldn't listen to that. You should listen to Ray Brown. And I think that's problematic. I think they should be listening to Ray Brown, right? But that's a bass player for Oscar Peterson. But I also think that all that music is absolutely relevant, and it has a place, right? And I think what's really the most important thing with artists today is to learn to express themselves, to find a voice, a unique, one-of-a-kind voice, and play to that. The greatest compliment anybody could ever give to me was, Brownman, I heard the radio today, and I heard a trumpet player, and 4 notes in, I knew it was you. That's the greatest thing you can say to an improviser, because it means you have a voice. Just like if your mama calls, you pick up the phone, you're like, you know who it is. Two words in, because you know your mama's voice, right? Because it's one of a kind, it's identifiable. Same thing. If musicians work on their own identity, I think that's way more important, because we live in a world of clones right now. Like, a lot of people are copying everybody else, right? And I'm not that interested in clones. I'm interested in cats with singular voices. And I don't care what it is, whether it's heavy metal or Skrillex, or I love Skrillex, and I love drum and bass and dubstep and all the modern urban edifices. I love that stuff, as long as it's unique. And yeah, Square Pusher. Oh. I'm running a dubstep suite actually for my group, the Brownman Ali Trio.